The receptionist almost threw his application into the rejection pile without reading it. His worn shoes, faded jacket, and tired eyes made him look like someone who had already lost every battle life had offered. Holding the tiny hand of his 7-year-old daughter, he quietly asked for a chance to apply for the lowest-paying job in the building, a janitor. Nobody in the towering glass headquarters imagined that one name written on that application would bring the billionaire CEO to a complete standstill. The moment she read it, the color disappeared from her face. The pen slipped from her hand, and memories she had buried for nearly 20 years came rushing back. Within minutes, the entire company would learn that the quiet single father standing in the lobby carried a past more valuable than any fortune. Before we continue this emotional journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to Kindness Inspire if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories to people around the world. The morning sky was bright and clear as 38-year-old Nathan Mercer stepped off the city bus, holding the hand of his daughter, Sophie Mercer, who had just turned 7. Nathan wore a neatly washed but faded navy shirt, worn black trousers, and old work boots whose soles had been repaired more than once. Sophie wore a simple yellow dress, white cardigan, and carried a small backpack decorated with colorful butterflies. Despite their difficult circumstances, Nathan always made sure his daughter looked clean, cared for, and ready to smile. Only 2 years earlier, Nathan had owned a successful neighborhood construction company. He was respected for treating every worker fairly and never delaying anyone's paycheck. His wife, Grace, had been the heart of their family, filling their small home with laughter, homemade meals, and endless encouragement. Then tragedy struck. Grace passed away after a sudden illness that left Nathan emotionally shattered. At the same time, a dishonest business partner disappeared with company funds, leaving debts Nathan could never repay. Within months he lost the business, sold the family home, and spent every remaining dollar making sure Sophie stayed healthy, fed, and in school. Now, after months of temporary labor jobs and countless rejected applications, Nathan found himself standing before the headquarters of Sterling Horizon Group, one of the country's largest companies. He was not applying to become an engineer, supervisor, or manager. He simply hoped someone would let him clean floors, empty trash bins, and earn an honest paycheck. Inside the magnificent lobby, polished marble floors reflected the daylight pouring through enormous glass windows. Employees dressed in elegant business suits hurried toward elevators while Nathan quietly waited in line, trying not to attract attention. Sophie stood beside him, gently holding his hand and looking around with wide eyes, amazed by the beautiful indoor garden and sparkling fountain in the center of the lobby. Some people glanced at Nathan's worn clothes before quickly looking away. Others whispered to one another without realizing Sophie could hear them. Nathan lowered his eyes, not because he felt ashamed of honest work, but because he wanted to protect his daughter from unnecessary embarrassment. When his turn finally arrived, the receptionist accepted his application with little interest. The position listed at the top simply read, Janitorial Services. She almost placed it directly into the rejection stack without reading further. Then company policy required her to scan every applicant's identification before filing the paperwork. She typed the name, Nathan Mercer. The system immediately displayed a notification requesting executive review. Confused, the receptionist assumed it was a technical error. She forwarded the application to the executive office upstairs. Several floors above, 42-year-old billionaire CEO Victoria Ashcroft prepared for another busy morning of board meetings and investor presentations. Known throughout the business world for her intelligence and determination, Victoria rarely allowed emotions to interfere with work. Her executive assistant quietly placed the routine hiring documents on her desk. Most applications required only a quick approval. Then her eyes stopped. Nathan Mercer. For several seconds, she simply stared at the name. Her breathing slowed. The board members waiting outside wondered why the meeting had suddenly been delayed. Victoria closed the folder. She whispered the name again. Nathan Mercer. It could not be. Or could it? 20 years earlier, before success, wealth, and international recognition, Victoria had been a frightened college student struggling to survive after losing both parents in a tragic accident. She had nearly dropped out because she could no longer afford tuition or rent. One rainy afternoon, while working part-time at a grocery store, she fainted from exhaustion. Everyone walked past, except one young construction apprentice named Nathan Mercer. He bought her food. He paid 1 month's rent without telling anyone. He never asked for repayment. He simply said that someday, When life became kinder, she should help someone else who needed it. Those words never left her heart. She graduated, built a company, created thousands of jobs. Yet she never found the young man who had quietly changed her future. Now his name rested on her desk beneath an application for a janitor's position. Victoria immediately cancelled every meeting. She instructed security to ensure the applicant remained comfortably in the lobby until she arrived personally. Meanwhile, Nathan sat beside Sophie near the indoor fountain, sharing the last homemade sandwich they had packed that morning. He had quietly given Sophie the larger half. She noticed. Without saying anything, she broke her own piece in half and handed it back to him with a smile. Nathan smiled through tired eyes. In that small moment, he realized he had raised a daughter with the same generous heart her mother once had. Neither of them noticed dozens of executives suddenly walking briskly through the lobby. Employees exchanged puzzled looks. They had never seen their CEO personally greet someone applying for an entry-level maintenance position. Victoria stepped out of the elevator. The moment she saw Nathan, time seemed to stop. He looked older. Life had clearly tested him. But his kind eyes were exactly the same. Nathan looked up politely, assuming she was another executive passing through the building. He stood respectfully. Victoria could barely speak. The man who had once rescued her future without expecting anything in return had returned to her company, asking only for the chance to clean its floors. And she knew that before this day ended, kindness was finally going to come full circle.